Good day, listeners and viewers. Welcome to another mathematics session. My name is Omar Ijalo, and this session today is going to be level of ECD to grade 3. Now, our focus today is going to be on a topic called measurement. Now, under this measurement, we are going to look at what we call time. On the measurement, our focus will be on time. But time also is a big topic, it's a big subtopic. Now we are going to look at under time, the hour and half hour. We are going to look at hour and half hour, that is in time. Now, if you look at on your screen, it's telling you telling time. What do you know about telling time? At first is asking, what does the hour hand mean? In bracket you have SOTA tell you. Now if you look at your clock, if you look at here, I'm having a clock face, and there are two hands that we have in the clock face. And these two hands, what does the SOTA hands tell you? You will see that this SOTA hands here always tells you what? The number of hours. This SOTA hand always tells you the number of hours. Now, if the SOTA hand faces 10, that is telling you that it's what? 10 o'clock. If the SOTA hand faces 11, that would tell you that it's 11 that is going. If the SOTA hand faces 3, that is telling you it's 3 that is going. So that's what we mean by the hour hand. The hour hand always tells us the number of hours. If you move on, it's also asking on your screen, is saying, what does the minute hand longer tell you? You will see that the longer is put in a bracket. What does the minute hand in bracket longer tells you? I already said the SOTA hand tells us what? About the hour. It's always telling us the number of hours that we have. So you will see that the minute hand, if you look at here, we said the SOTA hand is the number of hours. So you will see that the minute hand is the what? Is the longest. So this minute hand here tells us number of minutes. That is the long here, the longer hand here always tells us the number of minutes we have in the clock. Whenever you see the clock, the shorter one always tells us the number of hours, and whilst the longer one, which is the minute, tells us the number of minutes that we have. Okay. Now, telling time. I read, put the numbers in the appropriate place. Okay. Now, after we have discussed about the hour hand, we also discussed about the minute hand. Now, you see in the clock face here, we have two hands, and we have this SOTA hand here, which shows us the number of hours, and the longer hand here shows us the number of minutes. Now, if we move further, it's saying you how much time goes by each time you get to the next number. How much time goes by each time you get to the next number. Now, if you look at the clock here, it's saying how much time goes by each time you get to the next number. You will see that both our minutes and our hour hand are all pointing to one number, and that is number 12. Now, if my hour hand moves from this number 12 to get to number 1 here, from 12 to 1, it will take me how many hours? It will take me 1 hour to reach from 12 to 1. If I further move again from 1 going to 2, it will also give me another hour. So you will see that from here up to 2, we are going to have 2 hours. But then whenever your hour hand is pointing to a particular number, if the hour hand is directly pointing to a particular number, this longer hand, which is the minute hand, should point at where? At 12. And that is telling you what? Sharp. Whenever your longer hand is pointing at 12, the hour hand, the number that is pointing, is telling you sharp of that number. Whether it's pointing at 2, that is telling you what? 2 o'clock. So if I move from 2 to 3, it's going to be another hour. From 3 to 4, also the same thing. It's going to be another hour. From 4 to 5, the same thing. So you will see that we're going to have 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. We have here 5 hours. From 5 to 6 will give me 6 hours. From 6 to 7 will give me 7 hours. From 7 to 8 will give me 8 hours. From 8 to 9 will give me 9 hours. From 9 to 10 will give me 10 hours. From 10 to 11 will give me 11 hours. From 11 to 12, it will give me 12 hours. So for the hour hand to move around the clock, it will take you what? 12 hours. Starting from 12 and coming back up to 12, it will take us 12 hours. So therefore, whenever we said how much time goes by each time you get to the next number is going to be 1 hour. Okay. Now, the next one is saying what? Put the numbers in the appropriate place. Put the numbers in the appropriate place. Now let me have the clock here. Now we have numbers scattered around the clock. This is the center. That is where the clock, where the minute hand and the hour hand always be. That is in the center. Now from there, remember in the hour, we have up to 12 hours. So then I'll make sure we identify where our numbers would be. This would be our starting point. This here would be our starting point. Now in our starting point, we are going to have what? What number are we going to have there? Because I told you earlier, whenever the minute hour is facing to that number, to this point here, is telling you 2, 3, or 2 o'clock. And I told you the number of hours we have in this clock here is 12 hours. Then where are we going to start? And we are going to start at number 12. We're going to start at number 12 because the number of hours we have in the clock, it takes us how many hours? 12 hours. Now we have the clock face here and we are asked to put the numbers in the appropriate place. Now what number are we going to put first? What number should we have on the clock face first? Remember, this is where we have our point of where the minute hand and the hour hand always point at to be moving around the clock. But remember, the clock is having how many hours? 12 hours. So therefore, if we are to put our numbers in the appropriate place, we will start with the reference point. And the reference point is which number? Number 12. So we have our number 12. Now from there, since we know that the whole clock is about 12 hours, and that is the reference point, we have our 12. Now let's divide this 12 by 2. Let's look at the half of the clock. And if you look at the half of the clock, that is going to be half of 12 will give us how much? Half of 12 will give us 6. And since 6 is what is the half of the clock, it will directly face in the reference point, and that is what? 12. So therefore, we are going to have 6 here. We locate our 12. We also put our 6. Now we need to have another number. we also need to have another number here. This is the reference point, that is 12. Okay, now if you divide the phase into two equal parts, you will see that here at 12 we will have what? 6. Now we are going to also divide the phase, the clock phase, into another, into another parts to also locate our points. So you will see that if I divide it here, there are two numbers that should be facing. We have 12, and the half of the clock will give us 6. Then what should we have here? You will see that half of here also, from this 12 to 6, half of it will give us what? Will give us here 3. And if you have here 3, what number should we have here? That is, we are going to check the half of also 6 and 12 will give us 9. So therefore you will see that we are left with other numbers that we can fix, because remember, it starts from 12 and it is coming back to 12. So since we have here 3 and we have here 2 points here, what number and what number should be there? So that should tell you that if you move from 12 and you are going to 3, there are 2 numbers, then we go back. From 12 then we must have number 1. From 1 we have number 2. Then we get to 3. Now between 3 to 6 there are 2 numbers. Between 3 to 6 there are 2 numbers. What are those numbers? Now if we count 12, we have 1, 2, 3. What number should we have after 3? We are going to have number 4. We are going to have number 4. From 1, 2, 3 we have number 4. Now you see that between 4 and 6 there is also another number. And what is that number between 4 and 6? We know that if you are counting from 4 going to 6, you're going to have what? You're going to have 5. Now we have 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now we also want to know between 6 to 9, what numbers do we have there? So if I have my points here, if you continue counting, we are going to have here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And when we are counting after 6, what number should we have? We're going to have number 7. We're going to have number 7. Then we can continue counting. From 7 to 9, there is a number that we have between. We know that the number that we have between 7 to 9 is number 8. We have number 8. Now, we have here also, there is a space also that we need to fill here. That is from 9 going to 12. There are 2 numbers also that we can have between 9 to 12. Now, if you move from 9 counting, we start 12. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now, after 9 in the counting, we are going to have 10. And from 10, we are going to have number 11. So you will see that as we are going, the clock is starting from 12 and going back to 12. So if you count, you're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Which is telling you that in the clock we have there up to 12 hours. In the clock we have there up to 12 hours. Okay, now we are still on telling time. We have 2 clocks. And what the question is saying, they say what time it is. Write your answer in the box. What time it is. So we are going to look at each of the clock and identify the number of time. So let's try to have the 2 clock faces here. So we are going to have here our center. We have here 12. We have here 6. That's just what we were, how to call it, placing in the previous slide that we have. We have here 3. We have here 9. We have 1, 2. Here we have 4 and 5. Here we have 7 and 8. Here we have 10 and 11. So if you look at in the clock face, we have 2 hands. one of the hand is facing directly at 12. That is, the longer hand is facing directly at number 12. So we make sure our also longer hand face direct at number 12. Our longer hand is facing directly at number 12. And where is the shorter hand facing? The shorter hand is facing at where? Directly at number 8. The shorter hand is facing directly at number 8. The longer hand is facing at number 12, and the shorter hand is facing at number 8. Now, if you go to the second one also, we do the same thing. There we have 12 and have 6 here. We have our 3, then 9. Between 12 to 3, we have there 1 and 2. Between 3 to 6, we have 4 and 5. Between 6 to 9, we have 7 and 8. Between 9 to 12, we have 10 and 11. Now we have our center here. This is where both the minute and the hour hand moves from. So you will see that if you look at our clock very well, that is the second clock, we will understand that the longer hand face directly at number 6. So we make sure that our longer hand also face directly at number 6. Face directly at number 6. While the shorter hand is between number 7 and number 8. This shorter hand does not face directly at a particular number, but is between number 7 and number 8. So we will make sure that our shorter hand face direct between number 7 and number 8. Now the question we have, what time it is? He's saying what time it is. Now we are going to look at here and also identify the time that we have. If you look at our longer hand, we said is the what? Is the minute. Is the minute hand. And our shorter hand here is the what? The hour hand. Now, if my minute hand is facing 12 and my hour hand here is facing which number? Is facing number 8. Then therefore, our answer would be 8 o'clock. Because our minute hand is facing directly at 12 and our hour hand is facing directly at 8. So our answer here would be 8 o'clock. If at all is 1, it's going to be 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. That is the answer that we have for the first clock. Because our minute hand is facing directly at 12 and the hour hand is facing at 8. So our answer would be 8 o'clock. If you go to the next one that we have our minute hand facing where? Is directly facing number 6. And the hour hand is between where? Is between 7 going to 8. Our hour hand is between 7 going to 8. But you have to remember that when the time is going, it moves from 12 going towards the right. It is not going towards the left. It's moving towards the what? The right to come back to 12. So if I am moving, I should be going back to 12. But remember, the minute hand face where? Face 6. And you will see that 6 is going to be half of what? Half of the clock. And half of this, how to call it, clock, that is half of 12 will give us how much? 6. That's why we have, when this 6, how to call it, this minute hand faces at 6, how many minutes are we going to have? Because our focus here is on two things. That is the number of hours and also have an hour. Now, we said the minute hand is facing at 6. And 6 is the half of what? 12. So therefore, we also look at the hour hand. Where is the hour hand facing? The hour hand is not facing 7. It's also not facing 8. But as long as we are moving in this right direction, then we mean this will tell us the hour hand was from 7 going to what? 8. This hour hand was where? From 7 going to 8. So you will see that the answer that we're going to have, since we said 6 is the half of 12, our answer will be what? Half 7 because it's moving from 7 going towards 8. It's between 7 and 8, but the minute hand is facing at 6. So this 6 here, that is the minute hand, telling us that it's the half of 7. Because it's half of 7, that's why it does not reach at 8, but it's also not pointing direct at 7. Or you can write 7:30, because that is going to be the half of the clock. First thing what you need to identify, look at where your hour hand is facing. Now you will see that if you have your minute hour facing 6, that is telling you half, and the hour is between 7 and 8, that is going to be what? Half 7. Now we can also use the clock we have here in order to solve those two questions we have. Now the first one is saying that what? Our minute hand is facing direct at 12. So we make so, and the minute hand is the what? Is the longest. So we make sure it faces at number 12. So you see that the minute hand here is facing at number 12, and the hour hand the hour hand should be going at where? Clockwise. It's going clockwise, sure. So the hour hand, the minute hand is at 12. Now the hour hand should go to the right, like I told you. When we are moving from 12, we are moving towards the right. So, and if we are moving towards the right, we see that our hour hand is directly pointed at number 8. So therefore the hour hand should move towards the right, going towards the right, going towards the right, until it reaches where? Which number? Number 8. So the minute hand is at 12, the hour hand is at 8. So this is telling us that our answer would be 8 o'clock. Our answer would be 8 o'clock. Now if you go to the next one there, applying the same thing, where we have the minute hand located directly at 6, and the hour hand is between 6 and 7. So we make sure the minute hand also will go, like I told you earlier. 7 and 8. Okay. The minute hand located directly at 6, and the hour hand is between 7 and 8. So we are going to make sure we move towards the right. We are moving towards the right, and we make sure our minute hand faces 6 directly. So you will see that our minute hand is pointing at which number? Number 6. Where is the hour hand pointing at? The hour hand is pointing between number 7 and number 8. So therefore we are going to move in a what? Towards the right. Like I told you, the clock moves in the right direction. It doesn't move in the left direction, but it moves in the right direction. So anytime that you are going to sew, it's going to move in the right direction. So we move. Remember, it's not 7 exactly. It's not also 8 exactly, but it's between where? It's between 7 and 8. So therefore, that is telling us it's from 7 going to 8, which means it's not yet 8 o'clock yet. But it's going to be what? It's going to be half 7. It's going to be half 7. Good. Now let's try to look at the other slide we have. Draw okay, now let's look at what we have in this slide. It said draw the hour and minute hand on the clock to match the time. Now if you look at on those clock faces that you have, it's saying we do what? We draw the hour and the minute hand using what? Using the time that we have, because in each of them have time. We can draw it here. We can also use this clock face to answer the question. Now what you need to do is you have to draw your clock face, have your numbers written in the appropriate place, then make sure everything starts at where? 12. And I will emphasize, everything should start at where? 12. Remember, what is this saying? It's saying what? The first clock, you have 7 and 8, you have 10 and 12, and it's saying 5 o'clock. Now, we can use this to demonstrate our hour hand and our minute hand on the clock. Now, if you look at the first clock that we have there 5 o'clock. So we are going to demonstrate that 5 o'clock in this clock face that I'm having here. Now, it's saying 5 o'clock, and I told you whenever it is o'clock, know that your minute hand should face directly at where? At 12. Whenever it is o'clock, your minute hand should face directly at 12. And where will your hour hand face? Your hour hand should face to the number. Your hour hand should face to that number. Because it's saying 5 o'clock, the minute hand should face at 12, and the hour hand would face the time that is going. And the time we have there is what? 5 o'clock. So we make sure we move the hour hand to go to 5. And it should be directly at 5. It should be directly at 5 because we said 5 o'clock. So your minute hand will face directly at 12, and your hour hand will face at the time that is going. And the time that is going is 5 o'clock. The time that is going is 5 o'clock. I hope you understand that very well. If you look at the second phase that we have, the second clock phase that we have is saying, asking for what? 12 o'clock. Is asking for what? 12 o'clock. Like I told you, whenever we said 12 o'clock, the minute hand should face at 12. But remember, here is saying 12 o'clock, and the minute hand is facing at 12, then where would the hour hand face? So if all of them are at 12, we are going to move, because the time going is 12 o'clock, then the minute hand is at 12, the hour hand also should move because we are moving towards the right and also point directly to 12. So this is telling you what? 12 o'clock, because the minute hand is facing at 12 and the hour hand also is facing at 12. Now if you look at the last clock phase that we have there, it's asking for what? 8 o'clock. And I told you earlier, whenever we said o'clock, our minute hand should face at 12 and our hour hand should face at the time that is going. And what is the time that is going? We will see that the time that is going on that clock phase is what? 8 o'clock. So the minute hand will be at 12 and the hour hand will go to where? Will go to 8 and point to 8 direct. Will go to 8 and point to 8 direct. So whenever you ask o'clock, this is how you will do it. Your minutes will be at 12 and your hour would be at the time that is going. I hope you enjoyed the lesson, and I also hope you were able to tell any time that you see in a clock. I therefore thank you all.
Hello viewers and listeners, my name is John Sabambuj. On our today's lesson, the theme that we are going to look at is measurement. Measurement. On the previous lesson, we are on time, where we have hour and half hour. But today we are going to concentrate on half hour. Half hour. Because on your previous lessons, you have looked at hours. On your screen, you are seeing a clock face, and we are going to plug in the shorter hand and the longer hand. The time says half 2:30. 2:30. We know when we are at 30, when the time is 2, the longer hand is at 2, and the shorter hand will be placed, the shorter hand will be at 2, and the longer hand will be at 6. The time is 2:30, but there is no hand on it. If I say hand, I mean the minute and the hour hand. This is our minute hand, and this is the hour hand. The time there is 2:30. So the shorter hand should be at 2, between 2 and 3, because it is 2:30, which we called half past 2. Half past 2. We said it earlier. When you divide the clock face into 2, that is from 12 to 6, you have half at the other side, the right side, and the other half at the left side. Now, when the longer hand is at 6, the shorter hand is between 2 and 3, we called it half past 2. Half past 2. Let's move to the second clock, the clock with a blue color. There it says 7:30. 7:30 or 7:30. Therefore, the longer hand should be at where? At 6, because it is 30 or 7:30. And the shorter hand should be where? Between 7 and 8. Between 7 and 8. Because it is saying 30 minutes past 7. 30 minutes past 7 is the same thing as 7:30. 7:30 or 7:30. The last clock face there is the one with the color pink. There it is showing us what? 5:30. 5:30, which is the same thing as 30 minutes past 5 or 30 minutes to 6. You can call it 30 minutes to 6, 30 minutes past 5, 5:30, or 5:30. All those 4 are correct. Now to plug in the shorter and the longer hand at 5:30, the shorter hand should be between 5 and 6 because it is 5:30, and the longer hand should be at 6. The longer hand should be at 6, as you are seeing it on the clock face I'm holding. Let's move to the next slide. It says the clock shows 10 o'clock. The clock shows 10 o'clock. True or false? Look at this clock face on your screen. When it is at 10 o'clock, the minute hand should be where? The minute hand should be at 12, and the shorter hand should be at 10 directly. The minute hand should be at 12 and the hour hand at 10. That is the shorter hand. So it should look like this. What you are seeing on the curtain here, is it the same as what you are seeing on your screen? No. Therefore, the answer is false. Because what you are seeing on your screen is the shorter hand is at 10 and the longer hand is between 1 and 2. Between 1 and 2. You can call it 8 minutes past 10, not 10 o'clock. Telling time. Telling time. What time does the clock say? What time does the clock say? The clock you are seeing on your screen, the longer hand, which is the minute hand, is at 6. The shorter hand is between 10 and 11. The clock you are seeing on your screen, the longer hand is at 6 and the shorter hand is between 10 and 11. And the question reads, what time does the clock say? A, 10 o'clock, B, 6 o'clock, C, 10:30, which is the same thing as 10:30 or 30 minutes past 10, D, 6:50. 6:50. Which option is the correct answer? When the longer hand is at 6 and the shorter hand is between 10 and 11. The correct answer there is 10:30 or 10:30. which is option C. Listen carefully. Where should you put the hour hand when showing the time 7:30? Where should you put the hour hand when showing the time 7:30? 7:30. And I said it earlier. I said 7:30 means 7:30. 7:30. That half there means 30 minutes past 7, or you can say 30 minutes to the next hour. 30 minutes to the next hour, which is going to be 8. A on the number 7. B between the numbers 6 and 7. C on the number 6. D between the numbers 7 and 8. The question is asking, where should you put the hour hand when the time is 7:30? The hour hand is the shorter hand. It should be between 7 and 8. It should be between 7 and 8. The clock, the hour hand should be between 7 and 8. That's what the question is asking you. When the time is 7:30, like how you are showing it on this clock face I'm holding here, it should be like this. And the hour hand is the shorter hand. It should be between 7 and 8. How many minutes does the 6 represent on the clock? How many minutes does the 6 represent on the clock? If I say 6, I mean this number here. This number 6 you are seeing here. This is a clock face. When the minute hand is at 12, where the shorter hand is, that exact time is going. When it moves to the next number, which is number 1, it is 5 minutes past the hour which is going. When it is at 2, it is 10 past the hour that is going. 10 minutes past the hour which is going. And that 10 is from where? 5 plus 5. 5 minutes plus 5 minutes. You have 10. When it is at 3, I mean the longer hand, it is 15 minutes past. We call it quarter past. Quarter past. Because now, before we divide the time into 2, now into 4 equal parts. That is why it is called quarter past. When it is at 4, it is 20 minutes past. 20 minutes past. That is 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5. The 5 minutes that you are adding. When the longer hand is at 5, again the minute hand, it is 25 minutes past. 25 minutes past. And our question says, when it is at 6 on the clock, what did it represent? It represents 30 minutes past the hour where the shorter hand is. It represents 30 minutes past. Try questions. Write the time and draw the hands. Write the time and draw the hands. You are seeing the clock face. It is without hands. There is no shorter hand, that is the hour hand. and there is no minute hand. Question 1 reads, I wake up at dash o'clock. I wake up at dash o'clock. You are going to fill in the time and you plug in the shorter and the longer hand. Question 2. My clock says 11:30. My clock says 11:30. And the clock there is the green clock. That's our clock. It belongs to all of us. So you are going to plug in 11:30. That brings us to the end of this lesson. Thank you all.